What is up, guys? Ryan here with Carey University. I am excited that it looks like nobody has joined me on this live stream, which is not good, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm not sure why nobody's in the comments. Maybe it's not working. Maybe nobody just likes me. I don't really know. We're going to figure it out later, I guess. So if you are on, post a comment. What is up, Randall? Good to see you. Oh, thank God. Woo! Man, you guys had me stressed. Drew, what's up? Robbins, James. Oh, Melvin, what's up? All right, man. I was a little bit nervous there. I was thinking, shit, Ryan. Ain't nobody on here, bud. How do you just delete it afterwards? I don't know. What's up, Sandy? What is up, Chris? So tonight, we're just going to be kind of talking, hanging out, answering some questions about really whatever you guys want to talk about. Concealed carry, some of these new gun bills that they're supposed to be voting on as early as next week, which are pretty crazy. So I'm excited. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We've got a lot of great stuff. We're posting videos on there every single day. So what kind of questions do you guys have? I don't know if you guys saw in the paper today, but there's a guy. His name doesn't matter. So I guess in 2018, this man was having a mental breakdown, and he took his vehicle and plowed into a guy. What's up, Craig? He basically drove into a man and his two children. So this guy was probably my age, and he had an 8-year-old son and a 3-year-old son. The father died. 3-year-old kid, severe injury. 8-year-old kid, non-life-threatening injury. Today, they decided that they were not going to have a guilty plea against this bad guy, the criminal, due to insanity. Now, as I was kind of watching, you guys definitely got to read and check out this article. As I was listening to the parents and listening to the prosecutors and stuff, they said, you know, he's had mental health issues for his entire life. They've been trying to get him help and get him into a mental health institution, but nobody would take him. So now, how do we relate this kind of to guns, right? This is a perfect person. This is a guy that if he would have easily been a mass shooter, and the gun control community would have blamed it on the gun that he used. Nobody blames it on the car that he used to kill this innocent guy and severely hurt his children, but they always blame it on the gun. What I found really interesting about listening to this is, for this guy's entire life, the parents knew there was something wrong. The parents knew that they needed to get him into a facility that could take care of him and prevent him from hurting himself and hurting other people. But they did nothing. So as these politicians talk about what's the big gun control thing, how are we going to restrict guns? I just found it interesting that this was a perfect example of somebody that needed help, lots of red flags his entire life. This man even went to a police station by himself here in Tampa and said, you have to arrest me. I'm going to hurt someone. But they did nothing. So until America and politicians start dealing with people with severe mental health issues like this, we're never going to stop the violence. And you guys all know that. All right. So Jess says, does getting a tax stamp automatically mean that whatever you get under it registered? Okay. Been waiting to get a suppressor, but kind of on edge about it because of the bills and things going on. Yeah, Jess, great question. So I own a lot of suppressors, short barrel rifles, stuff like that. Yes, they are registered. So they're registered under the National Firearms Act branch, which is a division of ATF. I have a whole notebook in my safe full of what's called a tax stamp, which is an actual stamp. It looks like something you would mail a letter with. Has a serial number written on it, shows the manufacturer, has the name of my gun trust, and that document I'm supposed to bring with me anywhere I bring my suppressor or short barrel rifles, whatever, as proof that I'm allowed to be in possession of them. So, you know, I like suppressors. I'm willing to do it. I think it's pretty dope. I would say just jump off and the cliff and just get them. I think it's a lot of fun. What's up, Dr. T? What's up, Cobb? Good to see you, man. Cobb, I expect to see you on the meeting after this, buddy. You keep missing it, but you got to be on there, man. Any other questions? Or is this going to be a slow, fast night? Sorry, that was not worded well. Thanks for the answer. Yeah, that's okay. Did I answer your question? I hope I did. Okay, so Cobb said he's going to be there. Awesome. Renee says, is a military officer that is off duty considered an official officer? Not really. So like the military police that we had when I was in, they have authority as law enforcement on the military base. But once those individuals step off the base, they really have zero authority. They have zero legal authority. They're just another person. So yeah. Okay, Cobb says, have y'all sent out the login info yet? I actually just sent it to Tiffany about 5 minutes before I started this live stream, so she'll post it in the group a little bit later. Okay, what is the best 20 gauge shotgun you should get? Arthur, it depends on what you're trying to use the shotgun for. If your purpose of a 20 gauge shotgun is for like a home defense gun, you want something that's going to be easy to shoot but not have a ton of recoil, then I would say stick with like a Remington 870, a Mossberg 500. I don't think they make a Mossberg 590. They probably don't in 20 gauge, but I would stick with those two. Avoid like a Maverick 88 or any of those really cheap shotguns, because in my opinion, I just don't think it's worth the money. All right, so Jason says, how difficult is the process for a rifle converted to an SBR? Jason, it's super simple. You know, one of the things that the government likes to do, the financial world likes to do, is they like to overly complicate certain things to try to get people to avoid ever doing it. So building an SBR, it's called a Form 1, is super simple. The first step is you have to actually submit the Form 1. So the Form 1 is an application to manufacture a short barrel, a NFA item. So a short barrel rifle, a suppressor, a short barrel shotgun, something like that. So when you fill out that application, you're basically putting on there, what's the caliber going to be? What's the overall, what's the barrel length going to be? What's the overall length going to be? Stuff like that. So when you submit it, then you have to wait about 6 months or so for the tax stamp to come back. And once the tax stamp comes back, then you can start actually manufacturing it. Now, there's something called a constructive felony, which means, let's say I decide I want to convert an AR-15 rifle into a short barrel rifle. So I go out there, I fill out the Form 1, I submit it, but then I'm excited, so I buy my 10-inch barrel, I buy my handguard, I build the upper and all that stuff, and I just leave it in my safe. Because it's so easy to swap out the upper and lower, that's called a constructive felony, unless you also have a pistol lower in your gun safe, because then you can just say it was actually for the pistol. So be very cautious. Be very cautious. Yeah, I know I'm not kidding about the financial industry. They want to make it really seem like all of this stuff is just overly complicated. Like one of the things that I teach people and I try really hard to do is to explain things in a very simple way. I heard a quote, I don't know who I heard this from, but it said, a man that can't explain something in a simple way doesn't understand what they're talking about. And isn't that the truth? Like a lot of these financial concepts could be explained very simply, but they choose to use jargon and just make it overly complicated. So hopefully that answers your question, Jason, about building an SBR. It is very simple. One thing I'm not sure of anymore is back in the day, I used to have to get my lower receivers engraved because you have to change the manufacturer. So like my lowers, I have a Spikes Tactical lower, but then when I SBR'd it, I had to put the name of my gun trust and I had to put the city and state it was made in. So Valrico, Florida. And yeah, I'm not sure if that's required anymore. So you may just need to look into that. All right. Robin says, if I am in fear and I pull out a billy club, giving me time to call the police, would that be considered displaying a weapon? Could I go to jail? Have problems with homeless people in my area. Yeah, Robbins, great question. So you can always go to jail. You know, I'm a pro law enforcement person, so it's important to kind of caveat what I'm about to say with that. But the police don't always know what they're talking about. They can take you to jail. I've had several cops say to me, you may beat the charge, but you won't beat the ride. What they're basically saying is they know that there's not a chance in hell you're going to get convicted, but they want to take you to jail just to kind of prove a point. So the cops can take you to jail for whatever they want. You can get bonded out and fight it, but they can always take you to jail. So just remember that. So if you are in fear of death, then pull out a billy club. If you're in fear, let's just be very honest here. If I'm in fear of somebody beating the crap out of me or whatever, I may pull out a collapsible baton. I think that's very reasonable. But yeah, make sure that you actually have a real reason to pull it out is what I would say. Homeless people is a pretty big issue. You want to make sure you set the tone very quickly and try to avoid allowing them to get too close. I had a woman in my concealed carry course just recently who was leaving her job. Where does she work? She worked at Spectrum. She said she has a very nice car. So she parks her car like in the back of the employee parking lot. And I guess there aren't many lights back there. So as she's walking back to her car, homeless person comes out of the bushes, approaches her, and is asking for some spare change. Now, she wanted to be nice, so she allowed the person to get close. I call this closing the gap. So just imagine, if a bad guy is 20, 30 feet away from you, can they really launch into an attack and hurt you? The answer is no, because they're far away, right? So they've got to have a legit reason to get close so they can launch into their attack. That's what this guy did. So he said he was just asking for change. Once he got close enough, he pulled out a knife, said he was going to stab this woman unless she gave up her laptop and her purse. So she gave it up, and I think she learned a pretty valuable lesson that we don't want to allow these people that set off our red flag to get close enough to actually launch into that attack. All right, so Drew says, Form 1 in 6 months, question mark. Yeah, so I bought a new suppressor last January, so a year ago, January, 13 months ago. When I bought it, they told me at Shooter's World that it was going to take about 14 months for the background check to go, for the paperwork to come through and get approved. So I waited, and then they actually told me that it got approved in August. So it was only about 6 months, 8 months, I guess. So pretty fair, I think. I would say that about 6 to 8 months is pretty normal right now. Yeah, so I think it's Jason is saying 21 feet can be covered in less than a second, right? Yeah, a lot of people don't know about this 21-foot rule in self-defense. And let me share a story. So have you ever seen those people that wear, like, I think they're called boat shoes? I call them moccasins, but they're like the no socks. They're like the leather kind of shoes that people wear. First of all, I will not take you seriously if you show up to any of my classes wearing those shoes. This old-timer dude shows up to our gun store. He was wearing those moccasin-type shoes, and we just started chatting. It was pretty slow that day, so we started chatting and kind of hanging out. And he told me about this 21-foot rule. And he said, Ryan, if I have a knife and you have a gun, do you think that you could shoot me before I could stab you? And I said, of course I could. Of course I could shoot you before you can stab me. And he's like, all right, let's try it. So I had a little airsoft gun. I put it into my appendix holster. And then this guy stood at the other side of my gun store, and he was very smart. He distracted me. He's like, hey, when do you think you're going to get more? And all of a sudden, he took off running at me. So I took a couple steps back. I grabbed my gun, fumbling. I got the gun up to about right here. And this guy already had the fake, I think he had a pen or something. He had the pen right against my neck. And I was like, holy crap, bro. I guess you're right. So I said, who are you? And he said he's an active FBI agent. So yeah, figures, right? That's why I didn't take the guy seriously, but he was a real badass. So it made me realize, now imagine, I knew that guy was going to come running at me. I knew exactly what was about to happen. So now imagine you're in a Target, you're shopping with your family, You're looking at soap or whatever you're looking at, and all of a sudden a bad guy who's 20 feet away takes off running and charging you. How long is it going to take you to even notice that the bad guy is running at you? If you're a pretty aware person, which I think I am, I think it would take me a second or so to notice that he's running. So once you notice that he's running, how long is it going to take you to identify the weapon, orient your body, pull your gun, and then actually make the decision to engage that dude? I think it's going to take a couple seconds. So that means already you're at a huge disadvantage. That's really why we got to keep our heads on a swivel, pay attention, and never let our guard get too low, because bad stuff can happen pretty damn quick. Okay, let's see. Dr. T says, how about mace or pepper spray on an overly aggressive homeless person? Is it the same as using a bat? Yeah, so we're allowed to use force, not including deadly force, to stop an attacker's unlawful use of force. So I think pepper spray is a pretty powerful kind of device, especially if you're walking through a dangerous area where there are a lot of people, homeless people that you perceive as kind of a threat. Just have that pepper spray in your hand so that way, if somebody does come up and grab you or try something, you can spray them very quickly. The massive mistake that a lot of people make, especially women, is they keep the pepper spray in their purse, which if you're like Tiffany, you're not finding anything in that purse quickly. Or they keep the pepper spray like on their key ring or something like that. It really has to be in your hand. In your hand as you're walking, get in your car. And then here's another big mistake I think a lot of people make is they get in the car, they get situated, they buckle their seatbelt and all that nonsense, start the car, and then the doors automatically lock. Dude, when I get in my truck, first thing I do is shut the door and hit the button to lock it. Because if I was going to attack somebody, that's the moment that I would attack. When they are trying to get comfortable in their car, I'd swing that door open and attack them. So just throw a burger in the opposite direction. Yeah, bro, that works. I mean, whatever you got to do. You know, I was at where my Tampa office is. There's a Wawa gas station down the street that I go to pretty frequently. And it's a rough, dangerous gas station. Like, it's just in a bad area. So as I was pumping gas the other day, this, I don't know if he was homeless or if he was just a hooligan or whatever, but he started approaching me, made eye contact, and I just looked at him and said, get lost. So he like said, you know, something like F you, whatever, and then he just walked away. But you know what? There's no reason for you to approach me. There's no reason for you to get within that 20-foot gap. And I think the problem that a lot of people have is that they are afraid to be a little bit rude to these people. Now, listen, Tiffany and I met doing inner city ministry and homeless ministry. I was in charge of the bus that went out there and picked up 100 or so homeless people every single Sunday and fed them. So I have a heart for homeless people, but it also has to be on my terms. It has to be in a situation where I am safe and I can keep my family safe. But them identifying me and targeting me and approaching me is unacceptable. All right. Placid Saint says, I love Wawa though. Bro, it's like the gold standard of a gas station now, right? Okay, Sandy says, I lock my car now as soon as I get in and my kids think I'm paranoid. Yeah, Sandy, I think you're smart. I think you're very intelligent. You know, nobody thinks that this kind of stuff happens until the bad shit happens. So you guys have all seen the video, I'm sure, on the Tampa Carry YouTube channel of the woman who was stabbed multiple times in the parking lot of a Publix, all because as she was getting in, she put her purse on the passenger side. Some bad guy was able to open her door, tried to reach in to grab the purse, and started stabbing her at the same time. That probably could have all been avoided if that door would have been locked as soon as she got in. So I think you're very smart, Sandy. And usually the sheep in the world, the people that are completely oblivious to the violence and the chaos, the people who choose to believe that bad people don't exist, those are the ones that think we're paranoid, when in reality, I'm just trying to keep my family safe. I'm trying to make sure that I am safe so that I can go home to my kids. It's just kind of the way that it is. All right. Any other questions. Let me see what I got on here. Okay, Paul says, hey, Ryan, my EDC is a Sig P365 XL, which is awesome. How do I get a Florida non-resident concealed carry permit? So great question. It's the exact same process as just getting a Florida resident permit. So just go to carryuniversity.com. You can take the online portion of the class, then choose one of the instructors to do the live fire portion of the course, and then just apply for your permit. So the state of Florida doesn't actually ask which permit you're applying for. They do it based off of where your state of residence is. So if you live in Georgia and you put your address of residence is in Georgia, they're just going to issue you a non-resident permit. So pretty simple. Okay, so let's see. I originally picked up a full-size M&P, but now I'm thinking of a Springfield Hellcat would fit better on a larger guy, 250. Yeah, you know, it's all about, like I've said multiple times, it's not important, in my opinion, which gun you carry or what size gun you carry. It's more important that you carry a firearm every single day, everywhere you go. Whether that's, you know, I had this dude come to the Beginner's Guide to Firearms shooting course with me. And as we were kind of chatting and stuff, he said, Ryan, I took the concealed carry class. I never wanted to carry a gun. I didn't have a desire to carry the gun, even though he was getting the permit. He said, when I was watching your video about the Ruger LCP and he learned about a pocket pistol, that's what convinced him that now he's going to carry the gun every single day. So his mindset, his false belief about carrying a gun is that he had to have like this really massive firearm like I do. What he learned by watching my course is that you can carry a really tiny gun. The LCP is like that big, right? Put it in his pocket, super easy. He's a professional, so a business professional, and he needs to wear suits and stuff like that, and it's perfect for him. So for me, I just wear jeans, a t-shirt. I can carry a big gun. If you need to carry a smaller gun to be more comfortable, that's what you got to do, because that is more important than having something big. You got to have a gun every day. All right, that's just being self-aware of your environment, not paranoid. Yep, I totally agree with you, Placid Saint. All right, Jess says, I only unlock the driver's side door of my truck. Very smart. And it gets locked the second I'm inside of it. Yeah, very smart. You know, I don't know if this is happening anymore, but there was a period of time that a gas station near me here in Brandon, that it was the Thorntons, right on Highway 60 and Lithia Pinecrest. That Thorntons, as women were pumping gas, bad guys would come up and open up the passenger side door, and they would grab the purse, and then they would sneak off before the woman even realized what was happening. The predators, the wolves, are always out there, right? They're looking for that opportunity. They're looking for the moment that we're distracted, we're not really paying attention, and then they strike. So we got to pay attention. We got to kind of think ahead. Okay, let's see. What does that say? Alez says, since I started watching your channel, I'm more aware of my surroundings. Awesome. I think that's great. That's a goal. You know, I've said this a lot. I've been saying this for a decade. I truly believe that the secret to self-defense is not having the gun. The secret to self-defense is simply being aware of your surroundings and identifying a potential threat and then avoiding it. I think probably 95% of violent encounters, if you're paying attention, can simply be avoided. The reason that we carry a gun is for those 1 to 2% of encounters that cannot be avoided, and you simply have to have that gun to be able to use or threaten that use of deadly force. Okay, so on topic about non-resident concealed carry, had a discussion on Facebook about this. A guy kept saying Florida does not issue a non-resident concealed carry. Well, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. It says only issue one standard concealed carry license to everyone. Is there a separate concealed carry license for resident and non-residents? Yeah, so Florida has a non-resident concealed carry permit, and they have a Florida resident concealed carry permit, because the Florida non-resident permit is not valid in like 5 different states. So, yeah, that person is not fully understanding how stuff works. Okay, Sandy says, I also look like a nut at a gas station because I remember what you were telling us about move around, look everywhere. I lock my doors when I'm pumping as well. Yeah, Sandy, I think it's really critical. Most people do not understand. Listen, the predators are out there looking for the weak, the people that are not paying attention, the people that are going to be the easy victims to attack. My goal is to make sure the bad guys know that's not the guy I want to mess around with. When my daughter, so I talked to Paisley, she's a young woman, right? She's 12. She just turned 12. Tiffany and you know, Paisley is very beautiful. Like, you know, every father thinks their childs are beautiful, but Paisley's like getting a little bit of a shape, and it's kind of scaring me. And I want to make sure that as she grows up, man, listen to this. I had this woman in my concealed carry class yesterday. She said she was raped when she was 14 years old by somebody that she thought was a friend. I want Paisley to understand that bad stuff happens, and I want to prepare her and give her the tools that she needs to try to identify those dangerous people and then avoid it. And I think one of those moments where young women get attacked a lot is at a gas station because they are completely oblivious to what is happening. Keep your head on that swivel, pay attention, and try to avoid that threat. Definitely have ran into some shady characters at Thornton's. Yeah, the CVS on Valrico as well. Yeah, there's just crazy people everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live, what, you know, nice area, bad area, whatever. There's just bad people. And we have to be aware of that, and we have to set off the right signal to make sure that those bad people know, listen, man, I'm not taking any of your stuff, and you might start it, but I'm going to finish it. So just leave me alone kind of thing. Okay, Cobb says, Ryan, have you heard about social media platforms that are targeting pictures of firearms and using them to track who has them? Okay, Cobb, I hear a lot from gun owners. People will say things like, I only buy guns through private sale. I never buy guns at a gun store because I don't want the government to be able to track and know what I have. I had a gentleman in my class a couple months ago. He showed up early, so him and I had time to kind of chat privately before a bunch of other people showed up. And I asked him, you know, what do you do for a living? And he says, I own a company that creates and sells, what do you call it? Profiles of people. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Like, what the hell does that mean exactly? You sell profiles of people. And he said, my team and I, we developed an artificial intelligence that watches the internet. It watches what a particular person does. It builds a database of who that person is. And then he said, I sell those profiles to the CIA, to the White House, and I sell them to companies like Amazon and places like that. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. So I shared with him that some gun owners don't want to buy guns at a gun store or whatever. And he said, none of that matters. They know. Our artificial intelligence already knows who you are. Our artificial intelligence already knows what you believe. It has an entire database, an entire profile of what you believe, what types of things you look at on the internet, what they have to say to you to get you to believe other things. And he said they already, so listen, Cobb, here's the bottom line. The government knows more about us than we probably know about ourselves. And somebody says, Placid Saint said, sounds illegal. What do you think Facebook is doing? What do you think YouTube is doing? They are monitoring. See, they're not making the big money by allowing us to post these videos. They're making the big money by selling the ad space, the ad revenue. And one of the strategies of selling that ad revenue is understanding which ads are going to work best for which person. And that's the data that they're collecting. And by us signing and clicking on these little user privacy notices and stuff like that, nobody ever reads that stuff. But that's what you're doing, is you're giving those organizations permission to monitor and harvest your information and then sell it. So they know everything about us. They already know that you have guns. And yes, they are using it against us. It's sad. It's, you know, but this is the way that life is right now, and it's pretty shitty. Okay, so Robin says, I was in a gun shop today and was told to use bear spray instead of pepper spray. However, I'm not sure if this would be wise. Yeah, Robbins, bear spray actually says on the bottle will cause permanent retinal damage. So I would think that a prosecutor, if you sprayed somebody with with bear spray, if you really severely hurt that bad guy, you're gonna get sued anyway, right? But I think they may come after you as using excessive use of force. And honestly, it frankly is not necessary. I have been pepper sprayed. I had Lincoln spray me just so I could see what it felt like, and it freaking sucked. So it was so bad, I thought I was going to be able to drive myself home. You guys can go see the video on the Tampa Carry YouTube channel. I thought I was going to be able to suck it up in the park for 20 minutes, drive myself and the kids home. It was horrible. I had to have Tiffany come pick me up. I stood in the shower for an hour. Took 2 or 3 hours for it to totally go away. So you don't need bear spray. What you need is to be consistent with pepper spray and get good pepper spray. The one that I got sprayed with was Sabre Pepper Gel, and it had tear gas in it, which I think that's what really kind of overwhelmed my lungs and just made me have a horrible couple hours. Okay, so I took a hunter safety course and have the gold star in my driver's license. Do I need anything else to apply for a concealed weapon? Yeah, I've heard that you can use your hunter safety certificate as proof of training to apply for a concealed carry permit. You're going to have to do your own research and figure that out. Obviously, I'm going to encourage you to sign up for my concealed carry class anyway, because just because I'm sure you know how to handle a gun safely. That's awesome. But what we also need to know, make sure, is that you understand when to pull that trigger and when not to, so that you don't end up in prison one day. Okay, so Placid Saint says, AKA college girl that has her nose in her phone 24/7 is a perfect victim. Yep, I totally agree. Okay, Lily A says, I love you guys. You and Tiff are awesome. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, Chicago politicians are a joke. Most politicians are a joke. Sheriff gives inmates pizza parties. You know what I've noticed on social media in the last couple months? Have you guys noticed all of these people in prison that are on social media, posting videos and stuff on social media? What the freaking hell are you in prison for? How are they getting cell phones? How the hell do they have internet connection? This just is mind-boggling to me that these criminals have access to the internet and can sit in their cell, look at porn or whatever, and make Instagram videos. I just don't understand it. So yes, I do believe that they are politicians are criminals. They're letting these bad guys get away with way too much. Okay, Renee says, my gunsmith even said getting them from a store and they don't track the actual gun, just that you bought something. Yep, that's very true, Renee. So when you buy a gun from a gun store, the only person that knows that you bought a gun is the gun store. They're the ones required to keep the paperwork. All the FBI knows and all the Florida Department of Law Enforcement knows is that you went through a background check process. Frankly, they don't even know if you took anything. But your credit card company knows. And if you remember, you can Google this. There's been lots of backdoor gun control kind of strategies that have been proposed. One of them was for Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Anytime a person bought a gun from a gun store, that those credit card companies would notify the FBI that you bought something. We have a huge issue on our website with people that bank at American Express or USAA, where they keep getting denied. So their transaction won't go through. We think it's because those banks must be able to tell that we're a gun-related business. And for some reason, they try to restrict the person from using their credit card on my website. And I've heard of that happening to lots of people in the firearms industry. Drop it like it's Scott. What's up? Yeah, Placid Saint says, Mark Zuckerberg knows when you poop. Yeah, because that's when everybody's on social media. Okay, and all the other apps. What's up, guys? Sold them all. Okay. Always keep a can of Saber on me. Good. That's awesome, Jess. And in my truck along with my LCP2. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's a pretty important thing to do. Okay, Ryan, will you be hosting any advanced training courses this year? I don't think I will do any because we're working on some bigger stuff and training more of our own instructors to go out there and do it. Tiffany and I are we had a very stressful day today, just so you get a little insight into our lives. Very stressful day because we're trying to really focus on what's that next step. How do we think bigger, and how do we provide more value by changing the way that we think and changing the way we're doing things. So anyway, we'll make that announcement a little bit later. Okay, KC04, can you buy a gun with cash at an FFL? Yeah, of course you can. Yep, they love cash. Like, they saves them a bunch of fees. ATF has been caught taking pictures and scanning 4473s when they do checks at gun shows. Yeah, the ATF got in a lot of trouble a while ago, 5 or 7 years ago. They went to SHOT Show in Las Vegas, and they were taking pictures of license plates of people that were there, which they got in a lot of trouble for. ATF is allowed to take pictures of 4473s if there's a criminal investigation, but if they're just doing it randomly, that probably should be reported. It's hard, though, because nobody at ATF cares. Like, one of the ATF agents that did our last audit at the gun store, he was there for like a week, so we were able to become friends, right? But he said most ATF agents are not gun people. Like, they took this job really as a paycheck and for the retirement, but they're not hardcore into guns. So, yeah, they sometimes have an agenda to kind of come after you. Okay, Dr. T says U.S. concealed carry next. Yeah, we have our concealed carry course that's going to be offered soon in several other states, but bigger than that. Bigger. We're going like, yeah, we just want to provide more value. My big thing is, how do we me creating this business at Tampa Carry really changed my life. It changed Tiffany's life. And it broke the mindset that we had before of the way that we had to make money. It's all automated. It's all become very easy. So how do we now take what we've created and the massive change that happened in our lives, and how do we give that to other people? So that's kind of that next big step that we've been working on. Okay, Placid Saint says, I know there's a bunch of states that are trying to pass constitutional carry. Yeah, constitutional carry just made it out of committee in the state of Tennessee today, which is pretty cool. I think it'll probably pass in Tennessee. People have been asking me if I think constitutional carry will pass here in Florida. It's very hard the way the system works. Like, first it has to get approved in committee. Then it has to get approved in that chamber of the House. Then it has to go to committee in the other chamber. Then it has to get approved in that chamber. So, and that, like the Senate. And then it has to be approved by both chambers. And then it has to be signed by the governor. So it's a very long process, lots of roadblocks and potential places for some gun control person to just totally shut it down. So I think it's tough. But only time will tell, right? All right, let me see if I got another question here. Okay, Kyle says, how do I get to New Hampshire aside from flying? We basically have to travel through the red ones to get there. So he's talking about the reciprocity and obviously driving through a state like New York, New Jersey, stuff like that. The biggest issue, the Firearm Owners Protection Act, which was passed in 1986, has a provision called the Safe Passage Provision that allows you to transport a firearm through a highly restricted state as long as you meet a couple very simple requirements. You have to be going through the state, so you cannot make any long-term stops. And let's see what else. Gun has to be locked away from passengers in a gun bag or something like that. Ammunition has to be separate. And the firearm that you're transporting has to be legal to possess in the state you came from and the state you're going to. So let's say you carry a Glock 19 down here in Florida. Obviously, that's legal to possess in Florida. That Glock 19 would also have to be legal to possess in the state of New Hampshire, which we know that it is. Now, New York is a special case because New York is frankly, just a massive pain in the ass. In the state of New York, they are going to require that you have a paper copy of the firearm statutes for the state of Florida to prove that that firearm is legal to possess. And they're also going to want you to have a paper copy of the firearm statutes for the state of New Jersey. I've heard from several attorneys that if you do not have paper, if you have it on an iPad, iPhone, whatever, they absolutely will arrest you and charge you with a violation of state law, not the federal law. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, Cobb says, how do you like gun safes? How do you like the gun safes that you have around your house that were in your video that time? I absolutely love them. So that's the one that I use is the Gun Vault Speed Vault. I think they're amazing. They're pretty cheap. Somebody told me that they're only $69 on Amazon right now, which I think is amazing. I had a young woman, the same woman that told me that she got raped when she was 14. She said, listen, my husband is doing something very dumb and it's kind of bothering me. They have little children. They have nieces and nephews that come over a lot. And this guy is just leaving a gun sitting on his nightstand or something. So she said, we don't have a gun safe. So I asked him, if you're just going to leave the gun on the counter, can you at least unload it? And he said, no, it has to be loaded because I'll never have enough time to rack the slide. Well, I think that's dumb. If you can't put your gun in a gun safe and keep it away from your children, the bare minimum is you need to make sure that gun is unloaded and not accessible to those children, somewhere very high, whatever. But for $69, if you can afford to buy a gun, get a concealed carry permit, go shooting at the gun range, you can afford to buy a $69 gun safe and store your gun properly. So just drop it like Scott says, I need another big gun safe for all my clothes. Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be mostly clothes in our gun safes come next Tuesday if they pass these BS laws. Okay, Tanner says, went to the local gun store, saw 2 guns, Kimber Micro 9 and the Sig P365. Do you know if they're any good? I think they both felt really good in my hands, but I don't know how they shoot. Yeah, they both shoot great. I was really impressed with the Kimber Micro 9, but for me, if you're looking for a concealed carry gun, I always really like striker fired, and I like the polymer. So I would say go with my personal recommendation, go with the Sig P365. It's going to have a higher capacity. I don't know what the Kimber Micro has, but it's a single stack, so it must be 6 rounds, 6, 7. I would go with the Sig. So I think it's going to be a better deal for you. Okay, so Sandy says, got a safe at Costco for $70. Awesome. Great. Jess says, I need a bigger safe too. I've been looking for an affordable large one. Yeah, there's a couple of good brands out there. You should be able to find something. Okay, Cobb said, what was the name brand again? So the safe that I use is made by Gun Vault, and the model that I use is called the Speed Vault. Amazing. You'll absolutely love it. Springfield Arms XDS 45 opinions. Yeah, I bought the XDS 45 Mod 1 when it first came out. I think it's awesome. I think it's an amazing gun. Springfield generally does an extremely good job on all of the guns that they sell and make. So I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think you'll love it. I don't personally like the XDS Mod 2 because the issue that I have is that my knuckle, when I'm holding it, my knuckle is like pressing too much. It's too much pressure and it just feels uncomfortable. Now on all of my guns, I would show you my Glocker, but YouTube will shut this down. On my Glocks, I always cut out the material where my knuckle is so that it feels more comfortable. The problem on the XDS Mod 2 is that there is not enough room. Tiffany's here, just showed up. There's not enough room on the XDS Mod 2 to actually machine or cut out any of that material. So I can't, look pretty. Do you want to talk to anybody or are you just gonna?
Yes. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
I can stand instead of
you can stand and you're still the same height.
Instead of my booster seat.
Yeah.
Hi, Sandy. Actually, I thought I was watching on live while I was putting on some makeup and I was thinking, I'll go over and say hi. I miss everybody seeing all the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, keep
Okay,
going.
Placid Saint says, got the X series frame for my Sig to solve the knuckle problem. Okay, but you said Sig. Yeah, so that's cool. I really like the Sig P320 X5 Legion. That is a...
Oh, didn't you get that from Walker to try?
I don't know who... No, I think I just saw a YouTube video about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think... And I think I shot one that a student had, but yeah.
You like it?
I like it. I love it.
Is that a steel frame?
It's plastic, but
Oh.
Sig is infusing tungsten into the plastic
To give it some weight.
to make it really heavy and to give it that
Oh.
weight and rigidity, which I think is really awesome.
Something different. Hey, Kathy.
Okay, so Facebook user says, I didn't hear the answer. I have a permit. Can I carry my EDC on my person in my car, or
Yes.
does it have to be securely encased?
That is securely encased.
In a holster on my
Yeah.
person. Yeah, so that's concealed, right? So as long as the fire, like when I drive my truck, my gun is in my waistband in the holster the entire time I drive. I never remove it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually talks about that. It's not safe. You should make sure that your holster and your firearm is comfortable enough for you to carry, in the car. No problem, right? I think you even have a video on drawing.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So it's best to do that versus taking it out every time you sit down and putting it into the console or something like that.
Yeah, the only time I take my gun out is like right now when I'm sitting in the studio for hours and hours. I take it off and I set it on the ground over here because I'm here for 5, 6, 8 hours sometimes. So
exactly.
it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the vehicle, you keep it on you the whole time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, is it worth the drive from Jacksonville to take your class? A lot of people do it, man, so it must be. Guy told me yesterday, he's like, when he came to the Tampa class, he's like, yeah, it was him, his wife, and his brother. They drove an hour and a half away to come to the class.
Yeah, I mean, some people...
It's up to you, man.
Yeah, some people just want to come shake Ryan's hand, too. So, I mean, that's up to you. We drove to Jacksonville
really sad.
In June, when... I think it was June or July.
When the beaches were all closed?
When they opened the beach the first day or whatever, we took a family road trip. We drove all the way there. We literally stepped on the beach for like 15 minutes before the, whoever.
Police guy came
Police
and yelled
guy
at us.
came, and then we drove all the way back.
We just had to get out of the house. That
But
was like...
it was a nice road trip,
Yeah.
It's a nice drive.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to
anyway.
convince Tiffany to go on a trip tonight,
Yeah.
and I'm working very hard at this tomorrow.
Because we were stressed. So listen, the women on here will understand.
So what I suggested, Tiffany's brother has a very beautiful vacation house in Orlando.
Yep.
And I said, we're both very stressed. We need to get away from our house. Because if we stay at home, we're just going to work and it's just going to be very busy and stressful. I said, let's go there.
It's hard to work side by side. It's already hard to work side by side as a married couple. It's even harder to work side by side when you are both very stressed. Because then that just makes it very difficult.
Very difficult, yeah.
So he's telling me, hey, I just want to go to Orlando for the night. He's got classes tomorrow. So we would have to leave tonight after our set. We have another live that we have to do after this. So it would be like 9 o'clock at night, drive to Windermere, which is an hour and 30 minutes away, and then spend the night just to come back tomorrow,
at like 4.
early afternoon. No, you'd have to be here pretty early to get to Tampa for classes.
3 o'clock.
So this is the part that the women will understand. Pack up all the kids, pack up all the stuff, lug everything over there, food and stuff. We have one dog that's about to give birth right away. Take my dog with me.
A lot of excuses what I'm hearing.
And then cook for the whole family, clean for the whole family, leave the
Oh,
vacation.
look, Sandy lives by there. So, Tiffany, we could see
Sandy. Leave the vacation area. I have to clean it all, and then I have to load everything back up and come back and then unpack everything and do all that laundry.
Why don't
That's not vacation to me.
Why don't I come back to do the classes tomorrow and we just stay there until Friday night?
Because you have range classes on Friday.
Again, more excuses.
I said, why don't we just shut our computers off, lay in bed, Netflix it all day, and order in food? That sounds like a vacation to me.
Whatever. All right, guys, we are going to take off. Thank you very much. Dr. T says perfect.
Oh, this person said they missed their question. Just answer their question.
What was the question?
So I missed the answer. Being in your car with it concealed, can you have Can you answer yes or no if you can have the time to have it on your person or to
Yes,
have it
you
in the
can have
center
it
console?
on your person. And if you want to take it out and put the whole holster in the center console, that's totally legal.
You can do that too, yeah.
For me, though, I just keep the gun physically on my body. So literally, when I'm driving, that gun is there. I just put the seatbelt on and I roll out.
Yeah. So
Thug life.
But you can do it either or, whatever works better for you.
All right, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Have
Good
a
night.
great night and be safe. Cobb says he hasn't received the link yet. It's posted in the group, Cobb.
I forgot to post it.
Oh, she's going to post it right now. So it'll be there.